What's up, guys? Tom Matthew here for PhilAndTomPlus.com, and welcome to episode 3 of the Phil and Tom podcast, the number one Phil and Tom podcast in the world. We're going to be going for about, I don't know why I have my watch because the timer's on the computer, but we're going to be going for about 20 to 25 minutes and just chatting about the week, stuff we've been doing, and stuff like that. So, does anybody have anything to kick it off? Mum? What do you bring to the table? We've got to introduce everybody.
How about good evening, everybody?
Yes, Janine is here.
Yeah.
And Dad?
I'm here. Yeah. So
Thanks,
Phil's
Dad.
here. I'm Phil, which is part of the Phil and Tom brand.
Okay. So, Mum, do you have anything to discuss on the podcast tonight? Fascinating podcast news today, isn't it?
Fascinating.
Yeah.
The fascination was the fascination that you found in your personality test that you took. Do you want to tell everyone about that?
Yes, we were listening to some Mike Dillard videos during the week. Who is, if you don't know who Mike Dillard is, he's a multi-millionaire. He's the founder of Magnetic Sponsoring, and
Which is a good business
which
model.
it's about attraction marketing. Anyway, he's a multi-millionaire in that field area type thing, and he did a video on YouTube, and we're all watching him. Sorry, and he did a personality test one where you go to this website and you take a test, you answer all these questions, really easy, takes about 10 minutes, and it comes up with a personality test. It gives you the type of personality you are. There's 16 personality types according to this website. So you answer these questions, and he said in the video that he was amazed at how dead on it was. So when he was reading the profile that it came up with for him, he was amazed at how dead on it was for him. And I did it, and I was amazed as well. It was incredibly accurate. Every time I was reading a line and it was saying, this is what this personality type is like, I was like, that is exactly me. This is exactly what I do. This is exactly how I think and stuff like this. And what was fun about that was that I was exactly the same personality type as Mike Dillard, which, if you have a brain, you can only come to one conclusion, and that one conclusion is
Really?
that I'm going to be incredibly wealthy. That's the only conclusion it can come to. It also said that my INTP is the personality type, is that we are very good thinkers, and analysing and observing stuff and stuff like that. Great imagination, great ideas. But when it comes to emotions, we're just terrible. We're just emotionless pricks, is pretty much what it was saying.
That's why you have me, because I have the emotion.
Yes, Mum's
That's
a
right. So I'm the
fairy
balance.
floss type of person that nobody wants to talk to. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I got a 70-page report. It goes into much more detail, and I was very interested. So that was fun.
Well, there were 7 videos, wasn't there? I think in the series, and I sent them through today. But I thought the first one was really good because he sort of smashed.
Can I just stop you there for a second? See, Dad,
cut me off at the knees and call me
in broadcasting, Dad, there's this little thing I like to call a segue, and it kind of changed what you were talking about to the next topic. There was no segue there. You just kind of personality test ended to the 7 videos.
Okay, well, just so that everybody knows,
I'm putting my hand up, I'm changing the subject.
How Tom come to be watching the Mike Dillard video on Janine is because I am a Mike Dillard fan, so that's how they actually come to be watching that. And so we put down 7 videos, and the first video I really enjoyed. I've enjoyed them all actually, but the first one was because he was talking about something that I talk about a lot, but there's these different languages and these different methodologies of trying to hit the nail on the head. But he was really sort of just drawing the curtain on this idea that people who were sort of I think the way he described it was his big mistake was that his early goal was that he wanted to make $50,000 a month, and he, in reflection, in hindsight, he wishes that he had maybe looked at that particular goal, because there's a lot of people spruiking online that they make this and they make that, but it doesn't mean that they're actually wealthy basically. And there's a grand canyon between making a lot of money and actually, the idea of wealth. And he talked about this idea of it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And he did go into talk about issues like taxation and inflation. And it is a big issue because it's not about how much money you make online, it is about your structures that you have in place.
And we already knew that from, like, you learn about that when you read like Rich Dad Poor Dad, and
Yeah.
he talks about making your money work for you. But when you get in this industry, it's a bubble because they're always, it's kind of like a bubble. Like if you're a professional sports person, you get very involved in that. It becomes your whole world. It becomes a bubble, and then if you just step out of that bubble, you're like, oh, I've got a great life, this sort of thing. And it's the same thing with this: is you're in the bubble because people are always talking about making $10,000 per month, $20,000 plus $50,000 per month, and that's the goal. But the end goal, really, it depends on your goal. But for me, I've got written up on my board is freedom. And by the way, the personality test thing said, one of the big, qualities or one of the big drivers or values that you have in that thing is freedom, which I thought was interesting. But the whole point that I got out of it, the video, was that it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's about setting your lifestyle. We've talked about this, setting your lifestyle, and what that means is coming up with the numbers of how much your lifestyle is going to cost. The car that you drive, the insurance, all the costs, like your house cost, what do you call it?
Amenities, like council amenities and water,
every single
rates.
cost that you have in your life, whether it be luxury or living costs, it doesn't matter. You come up with a number. Let's say it's $100,000. If you can replace that, if you can come up with that $100,000 through passive income, through investments that don't require your time, then you're wealthy. That's what I like. And watching that video for me, it kind of
just reinforced it.
Exactly, because you go into that bubble of I want to make $15,000 a month. I want to make $15,000 a month. But what happens is when you make $15,000 a month, and then you start making $20,000 a month, just naturally you start spending more. So it's good to get.
And as your business grows, the expenses in your business grow. So you have to be on top of things all the time. It's like, what I'd love to do. How you're either watching a video presentation, might be a webinar or whatever else like that, and someone says, oh, and I got $177,000 income this month. And I just want to go, like you can do on television, pause, hang on a minute, I want to ask you a question. But how much money did you spend and how much money did you keep? Because you can make $177,000, but if you spend $170,000 and 1 cent, you're going backwards.
Yeah.
So it's it's
Well, it is the industry, as in life, it's full of illusions. And
You're an illusion.
I had a I'm an illusion. I am an illusion because I won't go into that. But anyway,
That's a long conversation.
last night there was a guy who's he's well known in the industry, and he's messaged me on Facebook and said, "Oh, you're there, Phil." Now at the end of the day, I know he's a traffic vendor, and he's basically trying to sell me some traffic. Now, the thing is that I also worked out that he's also in multiple business models, and he's just recently got in another new business model. And he's spruiking these facts of, he's talking about clicks and sales, but there's not one word there where he talks about profit. He did use the word residual, but when you've had our experience, that residual's here one day and gone the next in that particular game. People come on, in the internet for a monthly subscription, but they only last for about 4 months, pretty well. So he's basically, the problem is that he's, I guess, possibly got pressure on him to make money to pay for his expenses. So, he spruiks, this traffic, and he's in, multiple business opportunities. There was another lady on the emails, she's allegedly made good money on the internet. Her costs have never been disclosed. And I noticed in some of the emails she sent through, I'm thinking, my God, talk about opportunity hopping. She's promoting this opportunity and that opportunity when I know she's been in a very good opportunity. And so I just wonder about where a headspace is at, and maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think so.
But was it this morning we were only talking about it, and we were talking about the fact that it's all marketing, but what they're marketing, they're not telling you any lies or giving you any bullshit. What they're saying is, say in this particular case, it could be, I will generate leads for you if you get into this system, or if you pay us X amount of dollars per month, we'll guarantee you'll get 500 leads, 10 leads, 20. Doesn't matter. They will give you those leads, but leads aren't profit, are they?
No. And then you will see some marketers who do, it's like you do. One of my favourite words is this idea of becoming discerning, and you can only become discerning after you've taken a few blows. You've taken a few hits and you sort of learn. We learned because we spent, I'd like to use the word invested. Maybe it is invested. Maybe the results haven't come through yet. Hasn't been a year, but we spent $10,000 on done for you traffic. And we'd also spend another $10,000 through other traffic sources as well. So let's say that's around about $20,000 on traffic, and our return's been $10,000 so far. Now, that doesn't mean to say that we might actually break even. But that's where you learn the hard way. You learn that, man, what was that all about? It was getting caught up in the emotion of it. We were listening to a few people who, we sort of thought, I don't know if I want to use the word trust, but they had our respect in terms of what they had achieved. But really, we made a poor decision probably in the end. But then again, you might build an argument and say, well, maybe it's not a bad decision because how much did you learn? What did you learn from that particular decision? And how much has that decision held you in good stead for the future? So I guess probably in looking at it from those two sides, I think, well, yeah, I've learned hard there, so I'm just much more reticent to sort of jump in because I know how to get leads. That's not a problem. Know how to even get some sales, but the issue is profitability is the issue.
I think discerning is a good thing that you develop, because for our first couple of years, one thing that we did was we just bought so many courses and stuff like that, and we're jumping from idea to idea because the marketing was that this is the cutting edge, this is the new thing that's gonna, with Facebook, and then there was a product called Futuristic Marketing, and there's a launch every year. And I think in the last, a year to 18 months, we've become discerning, and we've looked at a product and we said, we don't need that. It's not the be all and end all. We're working on what we're working on now, and that's what we need to be doing. We don't need that because it's a distraction. And it's like we're just putting the blinders on, saying we don't need that shiny object. We don't need. So that's discerning, and that's one, it helps keep your costs down, I guess, but it also keeps you focused, I think.
And I think the other thing we've learnt the hard way is that you get so emotionally caught up because the industry is this idea of making $10,000 next month or in 60 days.
Yeah.
And for the new person, it's just probably not going to happen. And you know what? If you fluked it and it did happen, it doesn't actually mean much at all. I know people who have made $50,000 in the last 8 months, but their experience, it doesn't mean they're going to make another $50,000 in the next 8 months because they're actually just promoting things to their friends and family. They were at that stage of life where they could probably, do that. And their nationality also probably allow them to do that as well, if you've got to read between the lines. So
yeah, it's a complete mindset shift what we're doing, I think. We've had a complete mindset shift where we're doing all this stuff it's long term, and we're building a brand.
That's
and
true. Yeah.
When you're building a brand and you're building a list with that brand, it's not like you're going to make $50,000 in a month and then the next couple of months you're going to be, what the hell do I do? It's going to be this constant flow of cash flow. Now you can have those big months with a launch or something, but there's always going to be a constant flow of income.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most misused words that I've found is going, then you scale it, and then you scale it, and you can scale it. I'm going, Scale schmale. I mean, show me the video testimonials of the prophet. Please show me even one video testimonial of the prophets.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing that we've learned is that I see no video testimonials. I even reply to emails. I say, look, just send me the video testimonials of the prophets. Show me one person who's made $10,000, please, because surely as a smart marketer, you would do that. If you had people that were making money hand over fist, would you have video testimonials? The answer is yes, but you won't find them. Now, that's one of the great things about one of the systems we're in. At least there are a lot of video testimonials of, which is what we've learned. There's a nice thing there, just, for people, where are the video testimonials? You won't find them, basically. The reason is because people are, they're caught up in the illusion of the, that even if they make a bit of money online, they're rich. Well, they're not.
Yeah.
Not yet. And so what you just said's a great point. This idea of building a brand, and list building is a great foundational point, and obviously you've got to be able to monetize that and to make profit. And how you make profit is that you have a big ticket. You have a big ticket offer, and we learnt that the hard way as well. We got involved in the big ticket offer early on. Yeah, great. Got the big ticket offer. We didn't know how to market, and then they told us, oh, by the way. Sorry, but to actually sell this big ticket offer, guess what you got to do?
I can't even remember.
Got to get on the phone.
Yeah.
You've got to get on the phone and you've got to make the sales.
Yeah.
Now, so not only do you not know how to market, but you don't have any experience and don't even want to get on the phone, and that's how they move that big ticket offer. So that was a real conundrum, a real problem. And we've since solved that problem. We now simply have a big ticket offer, but we outsource it. We basically have a team of people who are experienced in making phone sales, and we outsource that today. That's a smart thing to do, and you've got to know where to actually be able to do that. But don't you think that's interesting? Yeah, that first big ticket offer we got, wow, that's going nowhere because,
There's no system. There's no system to
there was
sell.
no system, no.
Yeah, you've got to have a system to sell it. Or else you're just not going to make any money because...
So some of the things that I'm talking about is this issue of scalability. Maybe in the old, what they call the old Google days, when you could just flag an ad up on Google and, you could make money hand over fist.
Yeah.
But we found that we've spoken to people, by the pool, and we found that was the old days. That was in the
Where
gold
the
days.
hell were we in 2005, 6 and 7 when Google, you could put anything up on Google? What the hell were we doing at that time? I would like to know.
Can I just ask this question? How many of those people do you hear also say, and then everything went to crap because of what Google did?
Well, yeah, that's true.
But again, it comes back to that wealth and being able to handle your money.
It is.
Those people didn't make any money. They spouted that they made all this money, but how many actually made money?
First of all, Dad, we on the last podcast we were talking about the thing we reread on the Titanium newsletter about this guy. It was multimillionaires talking about money, and this guy had to come up with $270,000, and we were thinking, how can that be if you're making so much money? And we now know the answer. It's the Mike Dillard thing. He was focused on making money. He wasn't actually keeping the money, growing the money.
And he was spending a lot on toys.
Yeah,
he was consumed with his houses and his image and his cars and all this stuff. And that's just when you study the ego, and I can understand when you're a young person. I can understand that. You want to do well. You want to make your way in the world. But it's an illusion. It's just a total illusion. There's some young people actually making money online that I can think of now. I'm thinking of some young people in their mid-20s. In my opinion, they're not leaders, though. They're basically pretty good at a traffic source. And they're, and they're leading people to this particular traffic source. I wouldn't follow them. You can have them. It's not who I would follow. Because I don't. It's not about. It's not about the money. Because they never talk about the concept of wealth. And as I did say last week, wealth is measured in time, and it's not measured in money. You know, and wealth is measured in how many days can you survive. This is Robert Kiyosaki talking. None of my information's original, of course. I'm just a parrot through other people. But you know, wealth is measured in time, and wealth is measured in how many days can you survive from this day forward without having to do your day or depending on a day-to-day job. And I've always liked that. I think that is a different concept, and so that's what I like about what we represent. You know,
I like saying it more like how many days can you continue to live the lifestyle you're living now
sure.
without having to work
Yeah. Well,
in a day-to-day job
that's another
or day-to-day effort. I like that.
And I was talking to you earlier. I said, look, you know, I said, well, if I said to you, go and get a fork and stick it in the PowerPoint over there, you'd go, no, I'm not doing that.
Well, I'd go no because I mean, what's the point? But really, if I did that, it wouldn't hurt me. I mean, come on. I just absorb the electricity. Batman
just to fill everybody in, we are talking to Batman here. So yeah.
But I think that you've been taught or whatever age it was. No, you don't do that because you'll die.
Yeah.
But in the world of the ego, it is true that the more money that you have coming your way, that you will spend it all and a little bit more. And that's what actually keeps you broke, because you don't have any systems in place, you don't have any ethics, you don't have a plan, you don't have a strategy to actually... And your goal's not time.
Yeah.
You're caught up in the... in Australia, it's keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah. Well, I know whatever you guys have done in my childhood, giving me the books about Robert Kiyosaki, I might have been 14 or younger when I first read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad for kids or something as well. But it's always been, I mean, I want stuff, but it's always been freedom. And I don't know why, but I don't like the job route. It's just, and I've had not many jobs. I had 2. And I hated it. Both of them, I hated it. I hated how they could call you up at any time and say you have to come in and work right now. I hated that. That was the worst. And I just love the idea of knowing how much your lifestyle costs, how much your life costs, and having that completely covered by investments that don't require your time.
Your day-to-day attention.
Yeah, they don't require your day-to-day attention. And then the question is, what are you going to do with the rest of your time? Well, then you can do anything you want, and you do it based on what you want to do, what you love to do.
I think that, I've been in a number of jobs over the years, and I think they serve a purpose. When you've got to earn money and you've got to feed people and stuff like that, I think job's a noble thing. That's the price that you pay to get what you want. But it's not, it's a means to an end, if you want to look at it that way. And so I've always thought, I've grown up thinking, well, I've had the jobs and I learnt to put extra time, an extra 10 to 15 hours a week into my wealth strategy. That's on top of my job. Yeah. So I learned to do that. That was about from the age of 32 or 33. And that works as well. Now, because there's no way you're talking about this survey at the start of the night. Man, I had a total job mentality. But I was just asking myself the question, who the hell around here knows what's going on financially? Where's this all going to end up? So that opened up an investigation.
Well, the thing about that is, what we're talking about here is financial intelligence. And just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you have any financial intelligence.
No.
I mean, how many times have we seen... you see in the paper like a sports person, they've been retired for 2 or 3 years and they have no money left.
That's true.
Or the lotto people.
Yes, that's right.
And I think there is a stat. I think it's an official stat. It's like 97% of people who win the lotto within 3 years they have no money left.
Yeah, or are actually in a worse position.
Yeah, this is people who win in $20 to $40 million. I mean, how can that be? It's ridiculous. I was on YouTube just the other day, and I was watching. I don't know how I got onto it, but I was watching. Game shows biggest winners, and every time they won the $1 million and they got all excited, I'm just like, well, you're gonna piss that money away every single time I said it, because I'm just like, it's because there is no place in I don't know, there's no in all the standard places like school, university, there's no financial education at all. You have to go and search it out.
Mm.
And there is great stuff. The first place I would suggest is just buy Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's a great place to start.
It is a great place to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he, the thing that a lot of, I've asked people this question. I've said, "Oh, what did you get out of Rich Dad Poor Dad?" And you get all sorts of different things. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, "Look," because the most redeeming thing that I remember about it was he said, out of all the things he said, which was all nice. He said, focus on your education, your financial education, your financial literacy. Focus on developing yourself in a financial way. That's great advice. And he also talked about, network marketing, about page 110, something like that.
About page 110.
Page 110. But he said most people, they don't like it when I recommend that because of the connotations with it. Now, I want to just disclose we're not in network marketing, have been in network marketing a long time ago. And it was actually the catalyst for me, learning to develop, I call it TLC, team building skills, leadership skills, and communication skills. Because before that I had an engineering brain. So I transformed from an engineering brain to a person who didn't really communicate with people to somebody who did. And the first 5 years of that was excruciatingly painful to actually go through that whole challenge. People wouldn't believe that today because they listen to me talk and they think, oh, maybe he's a natural, salesperson, whatever. Not. I had to go through 5-6 years of excruciating pain in my gut. I used to ask myself, when is this pain going to leave? I used to make phone calls. That was what caused the pain, basically. And in those old days, you had to go and do sales presentations. And I did over 1,000 of them. And so I do understand that I would be somebody who has transformed from something to something else. And it took 5 years. But it was worth it in the end because at least now, you can, largely you sort of, you've put a structure in place that allows you to sort of not have to live hand to mouth, if you want to live that way.
Anyway, we've been going this has been a good podcast, I think.
I think so.
It's been very conversational, it's good content. But we've been going for 27 minutes now, so do you guys have any closing comments that you want to say, Mum, Dad? Beautiful. So let's close it off there. If you have any comments below or about how awesome this content is, tell us below.
Don't preempt.
Team Tom in the comments. We used to do that on Yummy Cereal. And if you have any topics you want us to talk about on the podcast, put in the comment section below. Share it on Facebook with your friends and Twitter and all that sort of stuff. And we'll see you on we'll see you next week on the 4th podcast. See you later, guys.
See you later.
See ya.